I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface of what I can do. I'm still in my 20s, you know, like.
And your why is your why.
Your why is your why. They came to this country and they want to make sure that their kids have a completely different life than what they had. Mm-hmm. And that's a big why.
I want to show people that if I can do it, you can do it too. As long as you put enough time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into it, you will be able to reap the benefits eventually. But as I've continued to do it, I'm doing it not just for the women, but I'm doing it for other people that think that they can't.
Today we're going to talk about discovering your why. It's
Why?
almost piggybacking off of our last YouTube video on finding your purpose. And I think that we can almost elaborate on how we can discover our why. That was like a really big thing that we continue to talk about in our business.
Why is it important though?
I feel like it's important because it helps you get alignment with yourself. It gets alignment with your actions, your values. I think it's important for everyone, if everyone can really dive deep into who they are, because it really gives them purpose, to live, to do their things, get up in the morning,
I think it gives people focus too. Otherwise, they're just randomly doing things without focus or without a target.
But people do.
Yeah.
And people do.
And understanding your why will help kind of give you more direction on what to do, like where to be spending your time.
Yeah. Agreed. Why do you think it's important? Do you think it's important?
Oh yeah, of course. I just felt, for the people out there, to ask that question, because some people are like, why do you need a why? You can have either two sides of the coin of someone that says like, you don't need a why. You should just get up and go to work and blah, blah, blah.
Have you encountered those people that actually don't?
Oh God. Yeah.
Like real life examples of people that are, I don't really need a why.
Yeah. Not necessarily like them saying I don't need a why, but you can tell like they're just going through life. Mm-hmm. Waking up, going to work with no purpose, no drive, no feeling to get better, get home, eat, go to bed. And then they like say like same shit, different day. Kind of like that word, those phrases to me is like, hi, that's kind of bad. So yeah, there are people out there that don't have whys. They don't have, or don't even understand the importance of a why. But yes, I 100% believe that you should have a why, and it does change throughout your years. Because when you're in your 20s, your why is different. Your why is making money so you can go with your friends, which obviously is not productive. But as you get older, you start to understand the importance of it. It gives you drive. It gives you direction in your life. So yes, I 100% believe in you need to have a why. And you do. A lot of people have whys and they don't even realize it.
Yeah, that's true, actually. People do have them and they don't know. It's just being confronted with what is your why. I think I've explained before that it wasn't until I came to this business where it was all about your why, having clarity around what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it. And it is very important. It's just more motivating. It's just a whole different kind of intentionality and approach to work. It changes everything, I think. But it can be difficult for some people. What other than coming into a business like this, what other things would help people realize what their why is? Like they could have one, but they don't know.
I think a lot of people stumble into it when they either get married, have kids. Having kids, I think, is a big one. I don't have kids myself, but I have seen
that too.
Mindset changes when someone has a child, because now it's not about living it for you. It's about living it for them. So I have seen that without them knowing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely changes in every stage of your life too. Because for some reason, my mom is coming up in my thoughts right now. And then how she continues to show love in some different forms, where she shows love where she like gets food for me and like delivers it, and it's like her why of still being here, you know what I mean? So it's not just to me business, but now that you've talked about children. I'm like, I'm not a mother yet, but it's something that I see in my own mother and how she shows up for her family and for me.
Yeah.
But sometimes I am curious to know what that's like. So I want to have these conversations with my parents and things like that. But I do, coming back to your point of like having friends that are kind of stuck, I would pose this question, like, how do you think you can help them get through it and help them, move through the journey of finding their purpose? You personally. Anyway.
Well, I don't necessarily say that it was my friends. It's just I know people, like, even having like the following that Pink Cactus does, and we are very, positive mindset. But I'll post like polls or something. Like yesterday, I posted like how to start prepping for a successful Q4, right? And people are like, "Oh, we're in August. Like, why are you prepping for Q4?" And it's like, well, no, you actually have to start prepping for that beforehand. And a lot of people are like, no.
But why?
Yeah, they're like,
but
we're like
why?
almost through August.
Exactly. And you have one more month and
Yeah.
then you're in Q4, and Q4 is the biggest part of the year for a lot of businesses, right? So for us, it's like, no, we're already prepping that, but that's besides the point. It's just, I think that a lot of people see things differently. They don't prepare for the end of the year. They're probably only going to wait for the New Year's resolution to start thinking of new goals or temporary things that they want to change about themselves. But I don't know, when it comes to helping someone, you can only help them if they want to be helped. You can't tell them, this is how you should live your life if they don't see the importance of it. You can only tell someone, for example, if someone has a bad habit of drinking or, too much partying, like you can tell them all day long that it's bad for them. But if they don't see it themselves or tie a why to why they shouldn't be doing those things, it's in one ear, out the other. So it's really if they're wanting to, and kind of like the story that Sabastian talks about how, if someone suddenly has found God and they go and they tell you about it, they're like, you should come to church with me because it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And you're like, as opposed to just being a happy, great example of a person. And then you seek out, okay, what is making you so happy? It's like, well, I've been going to church, and then you start to listen, right? I think that is, you just need to be the example so that if they want to understand, how do I become that person? How do I become a version like you? Well, you know what? Let me walk you through what I do. I prepare a lot. I do this, this, and this. So I think it's really a matter of, are they willing to seek that help? And if they're not, you can't do much. There was a quote in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that I even took a picture of while I was on the plane. Oh, and it was like so good. Give me 1 second. Pause, please.
Pause, please.
Here
it is. No one can persuade another to change. Each of us guards a gate of change that can only be opened from the inside. We cannot open the gate of another either by argument or by emotional appeal. And I was like,
That was so good.
highlight,
Yeah.
take a picture.
Yeah.
Because I think we think that sometimes we forget, especially the people that are closest to us, that you think that by telling them something, they're going to listen to you because you love them, right? But that's not the case. And you can't force someone to be something that they are not, or be in a phase of their life that they're not yet,
Yeah.
So.
Which is hard to come to terms to, especially when you care so much about, whether it's a parent or friends and I think about that too sometimes with my siblings. I'm like, I wonder, what goes in their mind? Like, do they think about their purpose? And again, I can come in and share whatever it is that I want, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up to them to want to do the work. Right. But that quote was so powerful. When I read it, it was gold. So, and it's liberating for you as well, because it helps to release some of that control, understanding that I can only do so much. I can't control, I can influence, to a certain degree by leading through example, but I do find that freeing to know it is not my responsibility to make sure that this person changes. Because that's a lot of weight to carry. It can be very taxing emotionally and mentally. It can be so draining to think that it is your responsibility to make sure that this person changes. You can only do so much, and then after that it's their choice.
There is a lot of people that are in relationships purely because they seek that. They seek the changing or improving of the other person. And I think that, like you said, it's very taxing, and it can be. And then people will, that didn't work out for them, and then we're going to go off to the next relationship and try to fix them. It's like, no, you should love them for who they are right now. And that doesn't mean advocating for the bad habits or whatever you're trying to change. It's in understanding that they aren't in the same, I wouldn't say season, but they need to find that area within themselves.
Word.
Questions?
Okay.
I know.
Questions from the people. People of America.
We're on a good roll.
No, that was great.
Yes. Yes. What are the consequences of not having a why? I think that your life can feel very draining and long.
I mean, would it? You're going through the motions, so you don't even know. I feel like at that point you're kind of numb.
That too. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I see both sides. Like I can see like why it would be so long, because if you for some reason showed up to work today, didn't have your planner, and you didn't have the organization that you do, you'd kind of be like, now what? Let me check my emails. And then it's like, now what? Kind of like that, right? Like without having a why, you don't have a planner within you with the direction of where you're supposed to go. So I totally would think that it would be more long than short. And I think that that's why people just feel so drained at such a young age. They're just like, came home, went to work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like there's this new song that even like Joe Rogan posted, and it's this new country song. And it's this guy, he's not a celebrity, he's not a singer, whatever. And he comes out with this song, and just like Chris was like, "Oh, have you heard the song? It's like #1 on the billboards." Like, and
what's it called?
I would have to find it. And just like,
What does it talk about? Or
he
sing
talks about like he goes to work for shit pay and pays taxes, and just like this
hates the government.
Like the U.S. is just kind of going down the drain, and like I don't want to necessarily like tell you exactly, because I'm not going to. Don't quote me on what he said, but in just listening to the song, I was like, Chris, that's a really sad guy, because he's giving so much control to his outside. Like Chris was like, oh, like listen to it, and I just was like, these lyrics are just
but they were #1.
It's just really sad, but it's because, and Chris goes, it's because he's marketing to the masses. All these, like the mass is looking at how they hate the government, how they're going to work, they're paying taxes, and I think it's called Rich Man North of Richmond or something like that.
Interesting. Okay.
And I just was like, I can see certain aspects of this song. I understand it. Cool. Yeah, that's great. Lyrics are great. But it's just really sad.
Yeah.
I need to look up
the lyrics for it. Yeah.
So that you guys can kind of understand. Great voice. I don't want to say anything towards the guy. Like, the guy's great. It's just that, he's marketing to the masses, and the masses all want to point the finger on everybody else.
I can understand that.
And North of Richmond
perspective.
Lyrics.
And why a song like that potentially can be #1 in the charts, because it's true. There's going to be a lot of people.
Okay, here we go. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away.
That is so sad.
So sad.
And I was like his voice is like, if he's saying anything else, I'd be like, wow, your voice. Just very good voice. It's just when I was like, and people are like loving this shit because they're like, like I'm sitting at home, and then it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Living in the new world with an old soul, these rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control, want to know what you think, want to know what you do. So, I mean, you guys can look up the song after and listen to it. Like, again, voice is great. I think it's a proper song for the times, I think, because everyone is on that of like rich man or the government. They're trying to control and whatnot. But I think it's just he's looking or he's putting too much blame on outside circumstances. And that was like literally all I could tell Chris. I was like, that's a very sad man.
Yeah.
That's all I could say.
Yeah.
Well, to that sad man, let's create some steps on how you can discover your why.
Joe Rogan posted it and he said, amazing song. I love this song, this and that. And then I was like, am I looking too deep into this? But then I was like, no, this guy, these are sad lyrics. I don't know. I don't know.
Facepalm.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the consequences too of not knowing your why, going in that whole sad camp, is if you are going through the motions for so long and then, you get old in your life and you realize, wow, I didn't really, I think regret is one of the potential consequences of not understanding your why. Because you can get to a certain age, and not that necessarily would be bad, but at this point in time, you've lost so much time to be able to do what it is that you finally realize is something that you want to do or accomplish, as opposed to if you spend the time to figure out what your why is now and do the work, you have ample time to be able to accomplish, and ample energy too. And maybe you're just in a different season where you can allocate a lot of your energy, resources to that, as opposed to getting old and then you find yourself regretting that you didn't spend your youthful seasons doing those things that you enjoyed. Yeah. I think that's a big consequence.
Oh, yeah. Regret sounds like a big one for sure.
Yeah, they always say that a cemetery is the most expensive place in the world because there's so many, or not necessarily expensive, but so much money could have been made from all the dreams that people didn't do.
Yeah.
All the books they didn't write, all the speeches they didn't do, all the businesses they didn't start.
Dang, that book one really hit. All the books they didn't.
You got plenty of time. And then they even say, like, go to a retirement home and just talk to people.
Yeah.
They will all talk about regret. Sorry, I'm bringing like this sad. Sorry,
no,
guys, it's not like this usually.
I mean, no, but it's true. I think that's just a real consequence.
Yep.
If we don't spend the time figuring out what your why is, regret is on the table.
Yeah.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah. Wow.
I know anyone else like going through their life and thinking when they're old and like going, I actually really loved my life. Like I really am very excited about what I did. Like I don't want to grow old and feel full of regret. And that I think that's why I do so many of the things that I'm doing now, so that when I do become old and wise, I wouldn't be filled with regret in that way. This is why we jump out of airplanes and potentially start to swim with sharks and jump into, I don't know, other things that feel very and wildly scary, like this is because it tests you. Mm-hmm. And the more that you can continue to get better at, making like really crazy but rewarding choices, then you're like, oh, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like
all about that and lifestyle.
Yeah. It's possible.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We have visually seen people in our business being able to live their lifestyle like that. We should talk about, they should give us their whys.
Yeah. I just think it's tough when you're trying to have that like and lifestyle, which means being able to not only work really hard, but also and going on vacations with your family or, spending time with your work people and your family. A lot of people don't see that balance. And I think it can be hard because it's like, well, yeah, I want a vacation, but I also want to be able to afford it. So it's like, I got to work hard, right? So then you get stuck in that little wheel of working a lot of hours all the time, every day. And then they're like, but you should really take time off. And it's like, no, because I have momentum right now. And it's like, but then are you going to look back on that time of working a lot and say, I should have taken more time off? You know, like I'm in that.
Well, I think that that's why you have to, that's the whole purpose of why, right? Because you understand that the work that you're putting in right now is for a reason and a purpose. And I think that you have you have almost like, you're able to envision the light at the end of the tunnel. It's an understanding that, what is it? Not now does not mean never. So yeah, you're putting in all of this time right now, but you understand that in other seasons, it's not going to work that way. And part of it too has a lot to do with enjoying the process.
Yeah.
So if you are enjoying what you do, you have a why, your work becomes more fulfilling. And so it doesn't become a sacrifice to do the work, because you're enjoying what you're doing. You know what it's going towards. And so as you enjoy the day to day, I find it hard to believe that you'll look back and just like, look at all the time that I put in, when you're finding yourself on a beach drinking a mimosa. It's like, man, that sucked, you know? So I think that a lot of it has to do with understanding why you're doing what you're doing. It goes back to the reason why we're having this conversation. And if you enjoy the process, you know what the outcome is going to be. It makes it easier.
Your decisions become easier to make.
Finding your purpose and
discovering your
why. What are the differences between the two? Is there a difference between the two? I find it hard to separate the two. Separating your purpose and your why.
In my view, the purpose is what you want to achieve. So becoming a millionaire or becoming a movie star. The reason is why you want to achieve it.
I do see the difference.
So your purpose is your what?
And your why is your why.
Your why is your why.
Your why is your how.
Your why is
your reason.
Why you're doing what.
So, yeah. So, for example, if you wanted to become a millionaire or become a movie star, your why is you want to live free of financial worries, or you like to entertain people.
And your purpose is
becoming a millionaire.
What?
Yeah.
Got it. I'll snip these parts out here.
How do you find your why?
Well, like Simon Sinek says, start with why. It is a very reflective process, a really deep personal journey that one will go in. And you really have to ask yourself, why? What are your true values? Let's start with that. What do you value most? Why do you do the things that you do? It could be rhetorical, or you can answer. What is your purpose?
Well, yeah, I mean, it goes back to what kind of life do you want to live? How do you want to feel? Who is it that you want to impact? I think a lot of people have other people outside of themselves as the reason why they want to accomplish certain things. Being able to provide a certain lifestyle for your family. I think the parenting thing was a great example. Like a lot of people they have a big why because they just want to provide even like a different lifestyle for their kids. I think about that too for my parents, like you were talking about yours. It's like they came to this country and they want to make sure that their kids have a completely different life than what they had. And that's a big why. So I think that your internal desires are big clues to what that why is going to be. And I think that that's where people need to start. What kind of life do you want to live? What experiences do you want to have? Who is in your life? Who do you want to impact? Who would you like to have a different quality of life? I think that would be a good place to start to identify and start to build out what that why looks like.
I agree. So let's start there if we would like to share with the world. Why? what or who do you want to currently impact? Let's say, Dre, you started your Pink Cactus Co. What inspired you to do that? Why? Who are you inspiring?
I started it purely out of just want for a brand that represented for the women, you know, of what I do, you know, my dirt people.
I love your dirt people.
And so I started it just out of pure, I guess, creativeness. I don't know. There wasn't anything specific. I had no long-term why for the business. But as I've continued to do it, I'm doing it not just for the women, but I'm doing it for other people that think that they can't. And I think that goes with anything that I do. I want to show people that if I can do it, you can do it too. As long as you put enough time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into it, you will be able to reap the benefits eventually. I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface of what I can do. I'm still in my 20s, you know, like I don't know my ass from my elbow yet. And I think that the more time I put into it, not just in the business, but I think developing myself too, will open up doors for other people and other opportunities, right? Because right now it's just me and my sister that are running it. And in the future, I want it to be much bigger where I can then impact other people and, you know, hire them, employ them, show them the ways of what I'm doing, because there's plenty of stuff for everybody here, you know, like people that have like that guy that sings that song. And I think it's also maybe a blue collar way of looking at it, you know, very unionized. You go to work for a paycheck and overtime. But I think if you can look at it a little bit differently and understand that, learn it, understand it, do it yourself. Like if you're going to complain about rich people that are running businesses and controlling you, run a fucking business.
Yeah.
You know, I don't tolerate people that complain about things that they're not actively trying to change. So I don't know. There's just a lot that goes into it, but I think just being able to impact other people and show them that they can do it too if I can. There's plenty of money and everything and opportunity out there for everybody if they're willing to take it and they're willing to put the time into it. Sabs' reel yesterday, which was like, if you don't want to work hard, that's fucking fine. Just don't complain about it.
And get the fuck out.
Yeah, like and people that are coming in like 3 months in and they're like, well, I should get paid more because I've been here for 3 months. It's like, well, did you bring any value? Did you add to the company? Because if you did, then fuck yeah. But if you just came in and are still trying to train and still trying to figure things out, like, no. And what makes you any different from me? A lot of hard work, 8 years of experience, a lot of applying myself to other things. I don't know. I feel like I get into tangents when it comes to this, and I don't know.
I'm listening.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think that my why right now for Pink Cactus and even what I'm doing right now with Fenix is being able to provide opportunity for other people and see that if I can do it, you can do it too. And it doesn't mean that it has to take 8 years to do it.
I love that. You've definitely learned a lot throughout those 8 years. So even right now, I think our biggest thing in this is like really systemizing it. So much so that we can really iterate, like we've iterated, and then now we're creating the systems that we can then replicate.
Yep.
So that's the exciting part.
Yep.
Sandra, at this point in your career, coming back to your reflection of your why, what is it now? What does that look like for you?
I think my why in this season of my life has a lot to do with being able to show myself what it is that I'm capable of.
Love.
That is
fire emoji.
Fire emoji. Yeah.
What are you capable of? Like, what's your biggest,
That's the fun part.
scariest,
I'm sure. It's like,
gigantic,
what are you?
scary goal that you're
Yeah.
looking to achieve right now?
Scary goal. I keep going back to writing a book, but I think that the book is being written like even through this season, which is why it hasn't come out yet. Because it will be. Stay tuned. Yeah. And I don't know, in the later seasons of my life, but I think that I still have a lot to live. But and go through that I can write about. But a lot of the big heart with writing a book has a lot to do with what you're talking about, being able to inspire and impact others, and having that mentality of, if I could do it, anybody could do it. But I think for me, everything has been very internal. And in this season, it's very much about, okay, let's see what you can do. Yeah. Because we, expectations are different. We have big goals. We have just a different or like a newfound like energy for certain things that we want to accomplish here. Mm-hmm. And so that comes with its challenges, not only just business wise, but mentally, like understanding that you can do it. You just have to apply yourself. You have to prepare. And sometimes that's not easy. There's different thoughts that come about that don't serve you, that you have to really just overcome. And so I think that that's part of the process. And so for me right now, it's being in control of or taking control of my mindset, and just, hey, it's a new season in life. We have bigger things that we want to accomplish, and just being able to reassure myself that I am capable. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that's my why right now, proving to myself I am capable of what it is that we're setting out to do. And there might be challenges along the way, but that doesn't mean that you're not able. You are. And so different seasons of life have different challenges, and that for me right now is making my why.
Was there anything specific that caused that for you to say, like, let me see how much potential I do have? I kind of tie it back to when you told me, like, stop looking for permission. You know what to do, and you need to just do it. Stop looking for someone else to tell you what to do. I kind of tie it to that. Like, was there anything that happened that you were like, now it's about me and I need to figure out what I can do, like what I can exceed?
I think that there has been a lot that has happened, and it's all part of the work, right? Different seasons, different kind of work. But at this stage, I've come to a place where it's almost like I'm looking back and realizing maybe some of the work that I either dismissed or was like, okay, right now it's not the season to pay attention to this, so just kind of keep going. And I'm in a space where there are certain challenges, certain things that are coming up that it's like, okay, that I didn't realize I have work to do. And it's just kind of interesting because the work never really stops. Different things will bring about just different challenges. And so I think that there have been certain things that just now are presenting themselves, and it's like, oh, okay, we gotta do the work. And so that mixed in with the new season that we're in with our business is just kind of like this chemistry. I think about it like almost like perfume. You know how people say, like, okay, this one perfume will smell different on other people just because the chemistry reaction is just.
I've never heard that. But
you haven't?
No. Your pheromones are different.
Yeah, your pheromones are different. So there could be one perfume. It's the same scent, but on different people, there's different. A little bit of a difference to it. And so the same thing for me, I feel like that maybe the challenges that I've gone through are not the same, but the season is different. So when you combine those two, it's like a different kind of
scent.
Yeah, different scent, different thoughts. Again, some that serve me, some that don't. So my challenge right now is just it's overcoming, and I don't think that will ever stop. But as of right now, that is my current why. And yeah, there have been things, but not anything that I'm, gonna like.
I know. I'm just asking if there was any like one thing, or you just like decided one day.
No.
That's my why.
Yeah. No.
I
don't know.
No need to share.
I'm like,
no.
Not anything that is YouTube worthy to share.
Molly, what about you?
What about me? What is my why? I realize I do the things I do for my future self, right? Like I I think I shared this with Jenna once. I'm like, my past self loves my future self because my self now loves what I did back then. Like I'm very thankful for doing what I did then. And I reflect on that a lot because it's like on a day-to-day basis, it's like we have the opportunity to choose what we do and how we spend our time and who we spend it with. And so the biggest thing, right, as far as like health goes, like I envision myself being old with my family and being able to run around with my kids and travel the world. Like that's kind of like my biggest purpose and my why. Apart from that, inspiring and helping others is always like, I love teaching. Like I just enjoy teaching so much that if I could literally just do that on a daily basis, like I fucking would. I love it. And the reason why I do and love teaching is because I see how it can light someone up and I can see how it can like bring and I don't know, people really discover who they are through practice and classes and taking classes multiple times with me. I can see their growth. So like my whys in pertaining then to business, it's like I started doing brand management or whatnot back in 2017, but I came with it with like zero experience. And so even till now, there's a lot of like those inner voices, honestly, that is like, you don't know jack shit still. Like, why are you doing this? But like, I'm like, no, I've taught myself how to create. I've taught myself how to design. I've taught myself how to build websites. And I'm like, I've started slowly turning that wheel because at the end of the day, like no one else was going to teach it to me. Like I had to figure it out. And so even in our business, again, I come back to it. I'm like, do I really have credibility? At this point, I feel like I have some, but I still have, like you said, like this is me just scratching the surface. And I see the whole program being built out and how we can build my team, how I can help my team. I want my team to all succeed. And that just comes down to my why. Like I don't have to, but I get to get up every day. I get to, it's crazy because sometimes I'm like, if I'm like sifting through photos or like having to look through and overview things, I'm like, this can seem very menial, but I'm like, but how cool it is that I'm doing it. Like I am not picking up trash, like, or doing something that I don't want to do. This is something that I absolutely think is really fun. And I'm very thankful for that. So I'm like, for my why, it's just being able to be me fully and then seeing who rides along with it. I have really good people in my life. So thanks for sitting here with me. I'm very lucky, but I feel like cause I worked really hard to be where I am amongst the challenges. Like I've definitely had many a times those technical difficulties like I did today and they arise, but they will never bring me down.
Thank God for rehearsals.
Yes.